Now she's in med school.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting round of Modern Action coming at you from GameSwap located in Mason, brought to you by Top Deck Productions. And we're getting right into it, a game of Jeskai Tempo versus Green-White Vizier Elves. Now, any college shots you want to make about the outcome of this match?
So, Andy was on the play. That's good for Andy, but Robert really has all the tools he needs to deal with this. He's got the bolts, he's got the helices, which, by the way, is the proper, pluralization of helix. He's got the paths for the big stuff, like the, the ones you got to kill, like Azuri and the Arc Druids. He has the board wipes. He's got the Staticaster.
Okay,
and he's got
incredibly good in this matchup.
I think he had one Wrath God. Did you see a Wrath in there? I thought I saw one.
I didn't actually get an opportunity to look at Robert Meadows' sideboard, unfortunately, but I would not surprise me. Actually,
there might have been Anger.
There's probably, I would imagine, 3 board sweeping type cards. Now, I've definitely been in Robert's position in this matchup a great many times. You can lose. You definitely can lose.
Yeah, but I think it's a. If I'm Robert, I feel okay about this match.
I would, if I could go to a GP and play this for 15 rounds, I would absolutely do that.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. You probably go 11-4.
Yep, and you'd lose to some really fast starts.
Yep.
Oftentimes, I mean, so Andy has basically just gone.
Oh, brutal!
1 drop, 3 drop,
See,
3 drop.
Spell Queller is a hell of a card here.
Yeah.
These low removal decks, they're not going to deal with that. It's just a straight 2-for-1.
Yeah.
At the most efficient price. I mean, geez, you put a 2/3 flyer to play for 3 and eat up a spell. It doesn't get better than that, folks.
2/3 is a weirdly excellent blocker in this matchup.
Sure. Yeah. That's exactly right. Block this Nettle Sentinel all day. Looks like Robert's gonna try to race him, I guess. Get that damage in early, which seems fine.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable.
Especially when you got the burn to close the game out.
I mean, I would be a little skeptical on this because Andy went 1 drop, 3 drop, 3 drop, which is not a super scary draw, which means he either has a lot of lands or a lot of just good cards.
Well, it's a scary draw depending on what you're playing against.
Mm-hmm.
That's the draw you want against a low removal deck, but yeah.
So right
now,
no
Heritage Druid.
Robert Meadows has shocked for his 5th land drop. Which that'd start ringing some bells, some not good bells. And he's done the classic move of organized his lands to represent the spells he has in his hand. This is something I really try hard as a control player to consciously not do. Because it's just very small information.
Or if you're really being meta, what you do is you organize them for spells that you don't have in hand.
That is possible. I remember playing Twin back in the day, and very frequently stopping my opponent in their upkeep when I didn't have a tapper, just to put the fear in their hearts. So right now, Robert is going for a snap. I presumably targeting a Path to Exile because I know for sure he's got at least 1 Logic Knot, maybe even 2 in his hand. So he's going for the path right now. Inside of combat, I'm not sure if I can totally get on board for this. And I'm also not a super big fan of him going for that regen there. I understand why for the blocking. I guess that is reasonable. I was thinking he might want the mana to be able to cast Logic or pay through a Logic Knot, because currently he can only Logic Knot for 2, which is a downside. He's got 2 Logic Knots, which definitely makes him a little bit awkward here.
Yeah.
But he drew a Geist, so he's going to be able to start getting a little bit aggressive. Start getting in the red zone, even more so than he already is, and really try to leverage his advantage. He's just going to have to work through a Cord, a Company, and a Vizier.
Can I be real honest with you, Victor? I don't love Logic Knot in decks without Thought Scour. And I say that knowing full well that Logic Knot is a great card in American Control and American Midrange.
Ooh.
But I would rather, you're going to disagree, especially since this is called Jeskai Tempo.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to see the spicy disallow out of Robert Meadows here.
I can't imagine 3 mana is just a lot for a counter spell.
But the format is in desperate need, and most players end up in desperate need of hard counters. And disallow interacts with the field in a way that almost no other card does.
Mm-hmm.
Countering triggered and activated abilities I mean, shit. The card's so that's what Magic is about. High-level Magic is about decks with options. And you can use Disallow as a frickin' Stone Rain against people's fetch lands.
That is...
The card is a real card, and I would love to see Robert Meadows be a little bit more adventurous, even if he decides it's terrible. I'd love to see people test it out, especially when you've got two... I mean, Logic Knot to me is such a one-of card. You don't want to be delving too much. You know, you don't want to have two Logic Knots in hand and end up with one of them not being able to delve all that much.
Yeah,
I want to see one of these be a disallow.
The first Logic Knot is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
The second can either be good or horrible,
and then the third is the Snapcaster really Logic Knot is
it can
rough.
Definitely get pretty awkward.
But I mean, Disallow is a hell of a card.
And now I'm interested to see your opinion on this. Robert was tapped out last turn, and Andy did not use that opportunity to cast his Chord. So he's going for it now for 3. So he just walks face first into this Disallow, tapping 3 for it. It's got to feel pretty bad. He's a 2. I imagine this game is just about over. I may have just said disallowed there.
Yeah, you said disallow.
We're talking about
Freudian slip. He knew that disallow's the better card.
Interestingly enough, if Andy there would have been able to draw a payoff for infinite mana, he would have been able to win there because he had the Chord, or he had the Vizier rather in his hand, which typically they only play one of.
Quick side note: Robert Meadows looks very different when he shaves. I haven't seen him shave for a while, but he's got a very clean face.
I mean, you can't really grow a good beard per se.
I don't know. I think
I'm saying that being not a great beard
you're one
myself.
to talk. No, me neither. But I think he pulls it off. But it almost doesn't look like him. Like it looks like somebody else sitting there. But
he's also wearing my hat. Hopefully he doesn't have lice. I don't think I do, but
not that you know of. So sideboard here. I think we're gonna see all the obvious, the usual suspects come in. Andy might want to think about some of these silver bullets. They're not all good, but I do think that the Eidolon of Rhetoric is not bad.
That's definitely not the first thing I'm going to.
No.
I think the first things you go to, we saw 3 Scavenging Oozes in the side, which I think are good here. Turn off Snapcaster Mages. They're a good threat late game, and they can be good against 3 Logic Knots. They can definitely do some damage there.
Actually, now that I think about it, Eidolon of Rhetoric, it does stop Snapcaster, but it actually seems terrible because as the Elf deck, you want to be casting lots of spells in this one. I guess that's really only there for Storm and Ad Nauseam and Living End, right?
And at that point, without delving too deep into this, I think Aethersworn Canonist would be better, but that's neither here nor there. It's 1 mana cheaper to Chord out, which is typically what I feel like is happening. But before we dive into that too deep, he's also got a Burrenton Forge Tender?
Burrenton Forge Tender, yep.
Which is obviously going to be very good. Not obviously, it's going to be very good
because
it's definitely of its interaction with cards like Anger. It's a static caster to a lesser extent. It's repeatable, so it's a little bit awkward there. But
obviously, Bolt and Helix doing work.
And any sweeper that Jeskai is going to play, aside actual Wraths, are going to have red in them. Typically, they like to go for those lower to the ground ones. And then he also had a Selfless Spirit, which is another card that's pretty good against those.
Yeah, it's a good beater.
And
flies,
relevant.
Stops all the removal spells except for Path here.
And now a question I had for you about Andy's sideboard is he has access to 3 Path to Exiles, which on the surface I'm like, that's pretty bad. I wouldn't want that. However, with Spellqueller being in this deck, I think it's reasonable to have somewhere between 1 and 2, maybe not the full 3 that he had on the side, but I think there is an argument there.
I would bring in 1, maybe 2, and what I'm definitely taking out. I want to see if you're on the same page as me. What do you think he's taking out?
I'm assuming Chord is coming out. Aside that, I'm not really entirely certain. And now I don't know. I haven't been in that position. You're giving me some eyes here, some shock.
So I understand taking out Chord. Some of them. I want some number of them so I can still tutor up crucial targets and win the top deck war if it comes to that. I don't want Nettle Sentinel.
Don't want Nettle Sentinel. Okay, I think that's pretty defensible. I mean, Nettle Sentinel really is more of a combo-y type card.
Yeah, it's a degenerate card, but it's not really necessary for comboing here, especially when you have Dwynen's Elite and Heritage Druid.
I agree.
It's not necessary to have that card, and the best thing that Nettle Sentinel is for is a 1-mana 2/2 beat stick. But that is like your worst turn 1 play here.
Correct.
Because Robert's going to clean up your turn 1 plays almost assuredly anyway. And if one manages to survive, you're not going to wish it was the Nettle Sentinel.
Right.
You're going to wish it was the Elvish Mystic. That's my feeling about it. So I'm saying we're cutting like 2 Nettle Sentinels and a Cord, bringing in a path, maybe a second path, and maybe the Brenton Forge Tender.
Well, I'm thinking he's doing some hefty transformations. Not hefty transformations, I guess just hefty changes.
Do you think...
I think he's got at least 6 cards he's looking to bring in between the Scavenging Oozes and 3 bullets.
Oh, yeah, Skoos for sure. I forgot about the Skoos. Did he have 3 of them?
He had 3. Which, that's a lot of Skooses.
Yeah, but this deck generates green mana unlike no other.
Yeah,
so.
And I think it's very reasonable just to totally take out his graveyard.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly, and because I mean, as you referenced earlier, with the lacking Thought Scour, he's not really filling his graveyard up that crazy quickly.
What do you think about the Mind Sensor? From Andy. I actually really like it.
I can see it
on
being
the
good
play.
on the play. Yep.
Yes, on the play, I think it's always going to be worth having against these decks. It just seems good. It's unfortunate that it doesn't effectively block or kill a Spell Queller at flash.
So Robert Meadows playing very quickly. I saw him Serum Visions, excuse me. And with that Serum Visions, he put either a land on the bottom or top and a Serum Visions on the bottom or top, but not both. He put one on top, one on bottom. Not sure which was.
Nobody knows.
This is the scary opening for Elves.
Yes, and
this is what you hate to see.
And this is what you hate to see. And notably, it does not involve a Nettle Sentinel.
Right. Unsurprisingly. Just the Druid.
Dwynen's Elite.
That's a combo.
Yeah, and the fact that Robert didn't have the turn 1 removal spell that's where it really counts, because you end up making Dwynen's Elite into a vanilla 2/2, which is a terrible turn 2 play if you can take out the Heritage Druid in response.
So we do see that Andy has kept in some number of chords. I'm curious as to see what he's going to do here. He's got some options. He's got a 1-mana Dork. He's got a Azuri, a Chord, and a land.
Does he have a 1-mana Dork or 1-mana Dork?
Both.
Okay.
Nah, just one. So he's deliberating a little bit. We got some friendly bants between the players, which is kind of annoying because it's holding it up a little bit. I'd like to see
we just want to see you play, folks. You're not here to talk.
This is not social, all right?
Making friends is not for Friday Night Magic.
Yeah, this is serious business, all right?
That was a very distinctive Robert Meadows laugh there. The laugh heard round the store, as they say.
So, a little bit more deliberation. I'm curious to see. I imagine he'll probably... I'm curious if he wants to get both of these creatures on the board right now. You got to assume Robert's sitting on removal spells, which in this case he has 2 Electrolyze. Pretty damn good in the matchup.
Oh, yeah, sure. The thing is, if Robert didn't have the turn 1 Bolt, you got to respect the fact that he's probably...
Packing some heat.
You know.
And, he immediately fired off the Helix on the Archdruid, which could totally be... him trying to get Andy to play out to the board so he can just slam down a Wrath and just kind of end the game. That's definitely a strategy that many a Jeskai players have been known to employ. Unfortunately, or I guess not really unfortunately, but Robert does not have any of those, any Wraths, but he's basically got infinite removal spells. He's got at least 1 more Helix, at least 2 Electrolyze, a Spell Queller, and... I don't know. I think that's about it.
You know what would be really fun?
God, he is just savaging these cards. Are you seeing how much he's bending them?
Oh, yeah.
Damn, son.
He likes to bend them. Bend and snap, as they say in Legally Blonde.
Oh, so Andy just searched for the Burriton Forge Center, which we referenced earlier. He quartered for it in response to that Lightning Helix, and I believe saved Missouri.
I want to see a Bant Elves deck play Spellquellers.
We've all seen the Bant Coco decks.
So, and that deck is interesting. I don't like it for a lot of reasons, but I won't get into that now. I want to see an Elves deck play Spellquellers in Bant, and I want to see them sideboarding in Sages of the Anima and playing Beck and Call. That's what I want to see. Do you think this will happen?
Probably not.
Probably not. Not even the Lonely Spell Pierce in the blue-green Elves deck?
Nah, probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. You can try it. I'd watch. I'd commentate it. And shit-talk you the whole time.
Damn. I think the deck, green-white Elves, mono-green Elves, Abzan Elves, any Elf variant right now needs a way to effectively interact with spells. And Burriton Forge Tender and Selfless Spirit are just not cutting it.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to see Spellquellers. That's what I want. Or splashing blue for cards like Spell Pierce. That's what I want.
You're just getting into some dangerous territories there where I'm not saying you necessarily would do this, but a lot of people would, I think, over hastily. I'm not even sure if that's correct English right there. But they
how about impetuously?
Yes, perfect. Board in too much stuff to interact with the stack.
Yeah, well, obviously you can't dilute the deck so much that you're out of creatures because the deck already hangs on a thread. You need a critical mass of creatures to make Chord and Company good, and also make cards like Heritage Druid good.
Right.
And of course, the more creatures you have, the more valuable your lords get. So I agree, but I would love to see someone try to have these, because these decks, they just don't fight spells well. They just don't. They fight creature decks well, but they just do not fight spells well. And like I said, Burriton Forge Tender and Selfless Spirit don't even deal with the two best cards in the format, Push and Path.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm not a big fan of some of the current Elf variants, how they just get kind of beat up by decks like Jeskai.
So currently in this game, stuff we've missed is Lightning Helix just gaining essentially infinite life at this point.
Yep.
And then
per usual.
Andy played out another Vizier, which was met by a Helix, and then the next was met by an Electrolyze. Still just grinding away, pecking at him. Luckily, Robert's deck is infinite removal spells, so he's drawing them, which is good.
He wants to see the Snapcasters eventually. Is that a Chameleon Colossus?
It is a Chameleon Colossus. Can that be countered?
Yeah, it seems okay. It seems fine.
He's got... It's fine, I would say. Yeah, it's very fine.
I wonder what he took out. Maybe a Nettle Sentinel.
I got to imagine most, if not all, the Nettle Sentinels are out. I'm trying to think of what else would be first on the chopping block.
Like you said, I think cutting one chord is maybe right, because it's just matches up terribly against the counter magic. But
oh wait, he can be countered. I don't know why I thought he couldn't. Never mind.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, I don't remember that line of text, but maybe it's on there.
You be more confident, my dude.
It's the first line on there that also starts with a C. Is not can't be countered as Changeling. Yeah, I wonder what came out. My guess is 3 or 4 Nettle Sentinels, but I wonder if he overboarded. I mean, I don't see the Chameleon Colossus being great here. I mean, 4/4 is nice because it evades Bolt, but that's about the only reason I could think to have it.
Pia and Kieran, that's interesting. I kind of like that in the matchup.
I like that too.
Unfortunately,
unfortunately, it means you're tapped out here, and that's where you can get into sort of a dicey situation, especially when Andy has Heritage Druid and 3 Elves in play.
But luckily for Robert, I think he's just sitting on 2 lands, those being a Westvale Abbey and a Forest. Attack, block, just how we drew it up. And I mean, Robert's sitting on 2 removal spells, or I guess a Cryptic, pretty good.
Yeah,
Spellcaller, also pretty good.
So we could see. Yeah, so we can now Electrolyze, hold up Spellqueller for the impending, chord response if there is one. Okay, or Andy's just gonna have to let it go.
Yeah, unfortunately, Andy's draws it's been a pretty average draw on Andy's behalf. However, Robert has just been drawing some hot fire in the form of. I mean,
well, that's sort of all the deck is, right?
Yeah,
it's Snapcasters and hot fire.
If you are drawing Electrolyzes in this matchup, just makes your life so easy.
Oh yeah, I mean the card
kills
it's like a 3-for-1.
Yeah. At least one of their threats, maybe two, and at card parity. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, in Modern, for a 3-for-1, you usually have to do it at sorcery speed and pay some life. Hashtag painful truths. But in this case,
works on both levels again, which I'm a fan of.
Yeah, I really like Electrolyze.
I'm definitely a big fan. I mean, it's just so good. It's so many game plans.
And the matchup, like, there are matchups where you take it out for sure. But even in the matchup where it's quote-unquote bad, you can still set it to face and draw a card.
Yeah, I mean against Tron, you're not thrilled to have the card, but a lot of times you just need to kind of close the game out with some burn.
Yeah, and it cycles. You know, it cycles, deal 2 damage, divided as you choose.
So now Robert is looking at 2 Spell Quellers, a Path on top.
All right, folks, you can go ahead and pack your bags. Yeah. We don't need to. You hate to see it, folks.
I'd like to see it because I'm a fan of some Jeskai decks.
Yeah.
But this matchup, it's not. I don't think this game, or these games rather, do a wonderful job demonstrating kind of the power.
Folks, Victor's trying to talk, but
my mic is acting weird.
He's back though. He's back. We got some technical difficulties back here.
The games typically feel a lot closer when
you're playing them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I guess you sort of feel like, well, at any moment, you know, he could company.
Yeah, and then you're just dead. But unfortunately, Andy has not seen a lot of companies these games. Hasn't really seen a lot of his payoffs, which are supposed to help him kind of keep up.
You know what card would be sweet from Robert here? I know what you're thinking, Victor. You're thinking, I know the card Mark's thinking. It's the same card that Billy Caminos is thinking right now here, if he's tuning in.
I think he is. He called me a girl earlier, so I imagine he's somewhere.
Well, that's not very nice. Not that there's nothing wrong with being a girl, of course. But Hallowed Moonlight.
That is.
Nice Court of Calling, bruh. 2 mana, make it suck, and then draw a card, and then next turn they try to company. Snapcaster Mage, Hallowed Moonlight.
Well, I mean,
counter your company.
Mage just makes one of.
Draw a card.
Quite sick.
Hallowed Moonlight Snapcaster against Elves. You don't even need the bolts. You just get them. You just get them.
Unfortunately for Andy, and I see this happening far too often with these Elves decks. I believe he is sitting with a Selfless Spirit in his hand and no white mana. The number of games I've won against these Elves decks.
They get that coming to him. And here's the thing: Andy's played 2 Caverns. Do we think he had the foresight to name Spirit with the second one? He should have. Unless he named something else, but
maybe
he might have named human
for
Brenton Forge. Is Forge Tender a human, Mike? Is that right? I feel like it's a dwarf or something. Oh, Kithkin. That's right. It's Kithkin. Yeah, it does look like it. It might be a human though. The jury's out, folks. Let us know in chat if you have some inside knowledge, some esoteric, privileged information about the racial qualities of Brenton Forge Tender. It is a Kithkin. We knew it. You heard it here first.
So I'm looking at the chat a little bit here, and one person asked, just because this game isn't very interesting to me anymore, I'm kind of over it.
Yeah.
They've asked Serum Visions over Opt ? What's your opinion in Jeskai Tempo and in Grixis Death Shadow? Do you have an opinion?
Right now, I think I like a split because both have, each one has a clear upside. Serum Visions digs deeper. Opt instant speed is dope. In a deck with, I think all else being equal, which is to say, measuring not on those terms when things are not equal, the factors you want to look at would be: am I playing 4 Snapcasters or 3 Snapcasters? If I'm playing 3 Snapcasters, that's a an external factor that makes you want to play less ops. But if I'm playing 4 Snapcasters, I want more ops, because Snapcaster Opt is much better than Snapcaster Serum Visions. If my game plan's not as reliant on, even if I'm playing a build of like blue-white control that only has 2 Snapcasters, I think Opt becomes significantly less important. I think it also matters if you're playing a deck that has a lot of instant speed 1-drops that you want to play off your fast lands, right? If on turn 1, a lot of blue-red decks, they're like, well, do I leave up for Bolt here, or do I Serum Visions? And if you have a lot of those bolts on turn 1 that you want to potentially leave up for your opponent's, elf they're going to play, you got to think to yourself,
right?
Do I want the opt here so I could leave up both as an option, or do I want to waste my first main phase for the Serum Visions?
I think that's pretty reasonable. I'm seeing people when they're specifically referencing Jeskai Tempo and Grixis Death Shadow, and I'm being told they talked about it on a podcast, and their definitive point of view.
Oh, a podcast. They heard it on a podcast.
They believe that for Jeskai Tempo, the Serum Visions is better because it sets up future turns. And I would agree with that to an extent. I don't think I would really ever play a Jeskai deck without playing some number of Serum Visions. I don't really care about the Scry 2 in that deck as much, except for in the late game. Snap a Serum Visions, like turns 6 through 9, or 6+ really, is such a powerful sequence. Way, way better than I think
Snap Opt is a lot less clunky.
Yes,
that's
the key. I think ultimately, with the Jeskai Tempo decks, we're gonna find some mix. I see some people in the comments going like 4 Opt, 3 Serum Visions. That's too much air in your deck.
Yeah, you don't want 7. People thinking you can play 7 cantrips. No.
No.
Especially in the Grixis Shadow deck where you also have to have the Thought Scour. You just can't. You can't do that.
Probably can't cut Thought Scours. I've toyed with the idea of cutting one, but the frequency in which you're able to play like a turn 2 Death Shot or a turn 2 Delve Threat is so critical to the deck to be able to put a good threat in play on turn 2. And I think without Thought Scour, that takes that away. My issue with playing Opt in Grixis Death Shadow is you're playing 18, 19 lands. The number of 1 land hands you got to keep.
Yeah, you want as much scry as possible. Yeah,
banking on that.
I see it. Yeah.
So, and you already have the instant speed cantrip, which ultimately.
Sure. Yeah, you got Thought Scour and Street Wraith.
The biggest draw to Opt is just being able to end step, like hold up some mana, like you're holding up your Logic Knot or you're holding up your whatever. They don't do anything.
Frankly, what it does is it makes Think Twice much less appealing. Think Twice is card advantage, but it's super expensive. But the really big draw of Think Twice is if you don't want to mana leak your opponent's spell, you can just Think Twice. But Opt sort of fills that role, I think. So
yeah, I definitely think Opt is a very exciting inclusion into Modern.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Anyway, folks, we got about 22 minutes left in the round here. We'll see if we can find you a second match to follow up with here. Maybe someone's sideboarding right now, so we'll try to go catch him. We'll be right back. If there's not a match coming later this round, we'll let you know in chat. But give us just a moment, see if we can find one.